I didn't believe in isolation until I volunteered for the winter rotation. The lighthouse stands off the rocky coast of Maine, several miles from the nearest harbor. In summer, tourists photograph it from boats. In winter, it becomes something else entirely, cut off, wind-beaten, forgotten. I took the job because I needed silence. After everything that happened in my life, silence felt like medicine. The supply boat dropped me off in late November. The captain helped carry 2 crates inside and said something strange before leaving. Storm season talks out here. Don't answer it. I thought it was a joke. The lighthouse itself is older than it looks. Thick stone walls, iron spiral staircase, the keeper's quarters attached at the base, small kitchen, narrow bed, radio room. The previous keeper had left abruptly in October. Official reason? Medical leave. But the logbook on the desk told a slightly different story. The final entries weren't structured like reports. They were fragmented. Repeated phrases. Light must stay on. Don't let it go dark. 3 flashes are not from me. That last line had been written 5 times across 2 pages. 3 flashes are not from me. I assumed stress. Long winters do that, people out here. The first 2 weeks were manageable. Routines gives you structure. Morning, inspect lens and lantern room. Afternoon, weather logs and maintenance. Night, monitor beam rotation and radio check-ins. The ocean was constant but predictable. Waves crashing against the rocks, wind howling through cracks. Until the first night of the storm, it came without warning. No advisory from the Coast Guard. No pressure drop on the barometer. Just black clouds rolling in unnaturally fast. The wind hit like a physical shove against the tower. By midnight, the lighthouse was shaking. I climbed the spiral stairs to the lantern room to ensure the beam stayed steady. The Fresnel lens rotated perfectly, casting its bright white sweep across the ocean. 1 rotation, 2 rotations, then the beam flickered, not in full outage, just a stutter. 3 quick flashes toward the horizon, then normal again. I froze. 3 flashes, not from me. The janitor readings were stable. The wiring was intact. There was no malfunction. I leaned against the glass and looked out into the storm. Through sheets of rain and lightning, I thought I saw something far out in the dark water. Another light, responding. 3 flashes. Back. I told myself it was lightning. Reflected light, storm distortion. The human brain wants patterns, especially when it's alone. But lightning doesn't flash in perfect rhythm, and it doesn't wait for you to finish your rotation. The lighthouse beam swept again across the ocean. 1, 2, 3. And from the black water beyond the reef, 3 flashes answered. Precise, measured, deliberate. My mouth went dry. There were no other operational lighthouses within visible distance of this one. I had studied the charts before taking the assignment. No buoys equipped with high-intensity lamps either. No oil rigs, no vessels scheduled to pass during the storm. And even if there had been, they wouldn't be stationary in that water. The storm intensified. Wind screamed against the glass and rain hit so hard it sounded like handfuls of gravel thrown at the tower. Still, 3 flashes. Pause. 3 flashes. As if something out was trying to establish a pattern or a conversation. The radio crackled behind me. Not a call. Just static. But within the static, I thought I heard something like breath. Slow. Close to the microphone. I spun around and grabbed it. Coast Guard Station Rockland. This is Winter Keeper Station 14. Do you copy? Nothing but static. Then 3 bursts of interference, evenly spaced. I stared at the equipment panel. No malfunction indicators, no weather alert transmissions, The janitor hummed steadily below, and then the light went out, not flickered, not dimmed, gone. The lantern room fell into immediate darkness except for distant lightning illuminating the ocean in violet-white flashes. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Protocol is clear. If primary power fails, switch to manual backup. I moved fast, descending the spiral staircase 2 steps at a time. Halfway down, I heard footsteps above me, heavy, boots, circling the lantern room. I stopped, listened. Wind can mimic sounds. Metal expands and contracts. Structures groan. I knew that. But wind doesn't walk in myriad circles. Step, pause, step, pause. Around the top platform, I forced myself to continue downward. Panic makes you imagine things. When I reached the janitor room, I found the breaker hadn't tripped. Fuel levels were normal. The system hadn't failed. It had been shut off, manually. The lever was in the down position. I hadn't touched it, and no one else was on this island. The footsteps above stopped. Silence filled the tower, thicker than the storm outside. Then came the sound I will never forget. 3 knocks. Not on wood, not on metal, on glass, from the lantern room, high above. For a moment I couldn't breathe. 3 knocks on the lantern glass, 70 feet above crashing rocks, in the middle of a storm. There is no external platform outside the lantern room, no balcony wide enough to stand on, no ladder from the sea. The tower walls are sheer stone. There is nowhere to anyone to stand, and yet 3 knocks, evenly spaced, deliberate. I don't remember climbing the stairs. I remember being at the bottom, and then I was at the top. The lantern room was dark except for lightning slicing across the sky. The glass was streaked with rain, empty, no figure, no silhouette, just storm. I stepped toward the center of the room. The main power level was still down. I reached to reset it, and that's when I saw it. On the outside of the glass, condensation, not random streaks, not rain. Finger marks, 3 long vertical streaks. And if someone had pressed their hand against the interior surface, from inside the lantern room, facing out, my stomach dropped. Because I had been downstairs when the knocking happened, which means whatever touched that glass was already up there with me. The temperature in the room felt wrong, not cold from weather, cold like submerged stone, like the air had come from underwater. Lightning flashed again, and for half a second the ocean lit up completely. I saw something beyond the reef, not a ship, not debris, a structure low in the water, angular, too symmetrical to be natural, and there was light coming from it. 3 pulses, a pause, 3 pulses. Then darkness swallowed it again. I staggered back from the glass. The old keeper's words echoed in my head. 3 flashes are not from me. The light must stay on. That's when I understood. The lighthouse wasn't just guiding ships. It was blocking something, interrupting a signal. The beam rotating across the water wasn't warning sailors. It was breaking the pattern, and when it went dark, the pattern could complete. Another knock, this time not on glass, on the metal door to the spiral staircase. From the other side, slow, measured, 3 times. I did the only thing I could think of. I pulled the lever. The janitor roared back to life. The Fresnel lens began rotating again. The beam swept across the storm-black ocean, and out there, the distant light flickered erratically, then vanished. The knocking stopped. The cold lifted. The radio returned to normal static. By morning, the storm had cleared completely. Calm sea, no structure, no lights, no sign anything had been there. When the supply boat arrived 3 days later, I told them I was resigning effective immediately. They didn't argue. The captain who picked me up looked at me carefully and asked only one question. Did you keep the light on? I nodded. He exhaled slowly. That lighthouse is automated now. No winter keeper rotations. Officially, it's modernization. Unofficially, they don't want anyone alone in that tower anymore. I still wake up some nights to the sound of distant wind, and sometimes, in the quiet just before sleep, I see it in my mind. Dark water, an impossible shape below the surface, waiting for the light to fail, and I always remember what the previous keeper wrote again and again. 3 flashes are not from me.